Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Goldbloom and Ms. Tate, for joining us here today. Ms. Tate, you were asked to appear before this committee with very specific parameters in the motion surrounding bonuses, or as was referred to by your organization as performance pay. In the fiscal year covering 2022-2023, Ms. Tate, did you receive a bonus?
No.
Is there, now, it's my understanding that, thank you, being direct on that. Now, it is my understanding that there is not a deadline when it comes to there being a bonus awarded outside of a fiscal year. Is that your understanding as well?
Are you talking about compensation for the CEO in your question, or specifically to the entire non-unionized employee group?
Specifically.
So if I may, as you know, the CEO is compensated.
Point of order, Madam Chair. We can't hear Mr. Couric on the audio. He's cutting in and out. So if you could repeat the question, maybe we could find out what's happening there.
We start from scratch. And I think we should try and rectify what's happening. Apparently, the people on the virtual end are telling us that they cannot hear Mr. Couric's question. He's cutting in and out. That means we may not be able to hear Ms. Tate's answer either. So can we check that out, please? Shall we suspend while that's happening? Yeah, I'm going to suspend while that's happening. Excuse me.
Madam Chair, and thank you, Ms. Tate and Mr. Goldbloom, for joining us here today. Ms. Tate, again, I would ask, for the fiscal year 2022-2023, did you receive a bonus? Okay, thank you, Ms. Tate. Mr. Goldbloom, did the board request to the government that Ms. Tate receive a bonus?
The board provides its assessment of the CEO's performance, and we share that with the government. It's for the government to decide whether or not it pays a performance pay.
And did the board give the assessment that Ms. Tate should receive a bonus to the government?
I think the specifics of that recommendation is confidential, but I would say the board has been very supportive of Ms. Tate's performance. So,
thank you, Mr. Goldbloom. So, Ms. Tate, I would ask again, and it's my understanding that your term will be coming to a close. I believe January 3rd is the end of that. Now, in terms of performance pay, bonuses, and a severance package, we are in a situation where Canadians are struggling. The cost of living is making it unaffordable for so many Canadians to afford the essentials. Yet, when you look at the bonuses, $18 million awarded across CBC, including averaging tens of thousands of dollars to executives within the organization, yet your metrics certainly don't seem to add up with the talking points that are provided. As you conclude your tenure at CBC, can you commit today that you will not take a severance package or bonuses for the last 2 fiscal years?
You've made several points in that question. What I would say is, first of all, if we're talking about 22-23, all the results of that year are public. For 23-24, all of the key performance indicators set out and approved by the board were achieved, if not exceeded.
Thank you. So with respect, Ms. Tate, I did ask specifically about your compensation. So when the range of compensation that is provided, you make more than the Prime Minister of this country. That's your compensation. So to get a bonus on top of that at a time when viewership is down, ad revenue for your organization is down, I asked specifically about whether or not you would refuse to take a severance package at the conclusion of your term as CEO.
I believe that Canadians would expect that the corporation honor its commitments to its non-unionized employees as it would to its unionized employees, and I would just correct the record. Whereas total ad revenues are down, digital ad revenues are up. Since the beginning of my tenure, which digital revenue was at about 38 million. This last year, it clocked in at about 100 million. So I think it's important that we have accurate descriptors of what's going on at CBC Radio-Canada.
So Ms. Tate, you said that it's confidential, that information, but that just doesn't work for Canadians. Canadians look at $18 million awarded in bonuses, the fact that you just spent $1,000 a night for a hotel room in Paris during the Olympics, and we are in a situation where you are coming to the conclusion of your term being paid more than the Prime Minister of this country makes, and you refuse today to rule out that you will receive either bonuses or so-called performance pay or a severance package at the conclusion of your term. It's confidential, doesn't cut it for Canadians. It doesn't cut it for parliamentary oversight. So again, I ask, will you specifically today share with this committee whether or not you will refuse a severance package or bonus at the conclusion of your term as President and CEO of CBC?
As I've said, I consider that to be a personal matter. And I believe I'm protected by the Privacy Act in that regard.
So Ms. Tate, taxpayers pay your salary, as they do for all of us, and you can Google an MP's salary, you can Google the Prime Minister's salary. But here we are discussing $18 million paid out to bonuses, $3 million paid out to executives. Madam Tate, your own documents show that there are 631 managers at CBC. 43, I believe it is, executives. And you're defending those, the average bonus paid out to executives at your organization is more than most Canadians make in a year, and you're claiming that it's confidential? Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, through you, I would suggest that it is unbelievable that Ms. Tate would come before this committee with a very specific motion outlining that answers are demanded when it comes to the compensation received by a public broadcaster. These are taxpayers' dollars that are paying for this organization. So, again, I will ask and emphasize, Ms. Tate, at the conclusion of your term, whether it's for previous fiscal year's bonuses or so-called performance pay,
30 seconds.
or the conclusion of a severance package, will you refuse that out of respect for the taxpayers that have paid for you to have this role over the last number of years?
I believe I've answered the question, and for the record, I would like to correct some of the errors, in fact, that the member has articulated. One, this $18 million in performance pay is not, these are not dollars that aren't agreed upon well in advance of the end of the fiscal year. We have a rigorous process in place, a process that has been in place for 20 years, Madam Chair. It's a process that is similar to that of other Crown corporations, other government agencies, and most private companies. A process that is guided by third-party consultants that advise us, experts that advise us on what it is we should be paying our executives and our managers.
And how much did those third-party consultants cost?
Mr. Kurek, your time is up.